Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I thought today we'd go through the sought after skill that is the butterfly pull-up. Now lots of my clients want to go through this skill, but there's a few prerequisites we have to go through before we can get there. Also, we're going to take a little bit of a step-by-step on how we would build up to getting your first butterfly pull-up, and then a few tips also on how you can then start to string them together in the long term. Let's get into it. So before we move on to any of the butterfly skills, there's a few prerequisites we need to have in our locker, and this is mainly strict pull-up. We need to be able to do at least a few of these as more of a protective measure for our shoulders. When we start learning to do butterfly, the instinct is to sort of just dead drop as you fall through, and that will give you an injury. So having the strength to do some strict ones will mean you can control that descent a little bit better and hopefully avoid some injuries along the way. Now this first drill is pretty simple, and you're going to need a low bar that you can reach quite comfortably. If you haven't got one of those within your gym, you can always stack up some plates to make it a little bit easier to reach, okay? So when we set ourselves up for this, we're going to have our toes in line with the bar we're using. We're going to reach up and grab, and then we're going to let our arms hang straight and our knees bend, okay? So from here, we're going to always keep our feet on the floor. We're going to come back, slowly pull through, and as our head gets past the bar, we're going to let our arms straighten and then relax slightly. And you'll find it starts to scoop you back and it turns it into this nice circular motion. Now, if you've had no exposure to any butterflying on a high bar, this is the perfect start point. So learning how to do it on here before we move on to a point where our feet is off the floor is a good start. Once we're comfortable with that drill I just showed you, we can now look to apply it to a higher bar, okay? So we're going to make sure we jump up into a dead hang position. Any extra swinging is going to make this more complicated than it needs to be. So we're going to jump up, and from here we're going to try and do the same shoulder motion we just did on this other drill. So coming back a little bit, pulling through, and the idea is we keep it nice and slow, okay? These are kind of called scapular circles, is probably a good name for them, but it's learning to control your shoulders to get that motion going. Because like I said earlier, at no point do we will sort of want to be dead dropping through the movement, because that is going to cause us some injuries. Once we have this drill under control, we can add a box in the next drill I'll show you. Now we've got our shoulders under control, it's time to look at our legs. So by far, when I see people do butterfly pull-ups, it's their legs getting out of control that tends to ruin the movement pattern for them. So we're going to use this box drill to try and learn how to control them a little bit better. So from here, we're going to start off with our arms straight, and we're going to have one foot on the edge of the box, okay? So from here, we're going to apply exactly the same two drills that we've just done. So coming back, up and through, and as I fall through, I'm going to kick my leg forward. And it's going to create this nice little circular rhythm where my leg feels like it's giving me some lift. Because obviously the reality when we're actually doing butterfly pull-up, we're not going to be able to be stood on a box or on the floor. Once we have this drill under control and we feel like we can do it quite effectively, it's time to start moving on to the proper butterfly pull-up. Once you've gone through all the drills we've just been through and you're happy with them all, it's time to give it a good go, okay? So if someone approached me where they're kind of at this point, here's how I would go about teaching them. So asking them to get into the same position we've been in before, a nice dead hang, okay? So we're going to apply the motion with our shoulders, and as we come back, we're going to let our feet come forward, and then as we pull through, we're going to retract our legs back. So this fundamental rule where our upper body has to be on one side, our feet have to always be on the other. So as I come back, my feet will come forward in front of the bar, and then as I pull through, my legs will track back beneath me. When you try this, undoubtedly it's going to get out of control, and that's okay. The easiest thing I can recommend is keeping it as slow as physically possible. And this might feel quite demanding, but we're not going to do that forever. We're going to get this a bit of speed accuracy trade-off, so if we try and apply maximal speed, we're going to lose all of our accuracy, okay? So like I said, start off nice and slow, and then if you feel like you're getting more confidence with it, we can start looking to get our chin to the bar. Now, at the start, don't worry about how high you get. This is all about control. Only worry about the height when you feel you can actually control the whole movement. If you're someone who can already do butterfly pull-ups, but a few reps in it's going a bit wayward, here's how we're going to try and resolve that. Okay, so for the most part, it's our legs that's going to cause that problem. Okay, so retracting them back too quickly, forcing you to drop down in a really straight line and shunt your shoulders is probably what's getting that out of control. So to try and remedy this, I'm going to deliberately try and leave our legs out in front of us a little bit longer. And those are going to be our last thoughts when we start to retract back. So I'm going to pull through, deliberately leave my legs out in front of me, and last second, I'm going to pull them back. So that looks something like this. By far, it's the most common problem I see. So this is the tip I give most of my clients to try and help better control that movement. And that's everything for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it either helped teach you how to progress towards learning how to butterfly or look to increase those max sets. If you like this sort of content, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.